Hello and welcome to the Global Morning edition of Friday. And as always, we're grateful knowing that, the weekend is upon us. And in a minute, I'll tell you about somebody who is probably far more excited about this weekend that has just started. Now, whether you like it or not, I'm Uyi Agumofwebe, and as always, we say thank you for making that crucial decision to join us here on the program 7 days a week. Jumai Manson came prepared for two things: one for the program, two for the weekend. I think it's not out of place to say happy weekend to you, Jumai.
Happy weekend, but you know how it is. I still work weekends, but for the fact that I am just grateful that today's Friday. Is not everyone that got the opportunity to see today. But pardon me first, hold that thought. Good morning to each and every one of you out there. It's a beautiful Friday, TGIF, and I am Jumai Manson. Now over to Uyi now. Uyi.
Well, what can I say? It's a Friday.
Yes, it is.
And we have to be grateful for the gift of life.
Yes.
There are people who are throwing parties today
Yes.
for a wide range of celebratory reasons. And of course, there are those who are also challenged one way or another. And we keep them in our prayers, and we pray strength and resilience for them to go through it. But again, it's the Nigerian spirit. It never dies.
No, it doesn't.
And this challenge of xenophobia in South Africa, which even our own Minister of Foreign Affairs, Dr. Dumego Ojukwu, is now saying that, look, we probably should call it Afrophobia, because this is no longer xenophobia.
Yes.
But see how Nigerians are dealing with it. I was just reflecting a while ago about it, and I realized that there are Nigerians in that country across, end to end, who are still going about their legitimate business every day, still making impacts, making a difference for the better, and things like that. And that's the spirit we take with us everywhere we go.
Yes.
And somebody said, if you go to any corner of the world and you can't find a Nigerian, you shouldn't live in that place.
You shouldn't live in that place. Of course, we know what Nigerians, what we bring to the table when it comes to us being industrious, when it comes to, finding our way, no matter how small or tight the place, we'll always find a way. We have that gift, will I say, upon us, because Nigerians are really making impact. It doesn't matter anywhere in the world where you travel to, it could anywhere in the world whatsoever, you'll be surprised that you will find a Nigerian there. So, making that waves, it means it tells a lot about the country. But at the same time, Africans in general, we have a lot to imbibe and learn from all of that. It shows with what is happening now in South Africa, it's really a scare. I was listening to someone in Pastor Poju's church, and he's a South African. He said, I know we understand what's happening in South Africa, though. I don't know if you saw that.
That must be Vusi. He said, it's Vusi. Right. He's South African.
Yes, he is a South African. He says, but let's understand something. Africans have their issues. It's how we deal with them and all of that. Within African countries, there were some that they were actually, it was there, they cooled together to bring down someone and whatever. But at the same time, we should understand that we are brothers. It's not all South Africans that are doing this. So don't tag it as a general thing. It's just some individuals who need that awakening to understand that, hey, we're brothers. We're not here to steal from you. We're just here to make impacts and all of that. But at the same time, hope this is done and dusted with as soon as possible, because we've lost 2 Nigerians so far. We do not know
several others injured, others not so clear what they should do, whether to remain in the country or come back home.
And I read in one of the headlines that if you're going to come back home, you will take care of those expenses yourself.
Again, that in itself is a conversation.
That's a conversation. Like, are you kidding me right now? These are people that have practically lost everything. People traveled out of this country with 0 naira, 0 income, borrowed money, decided to go to another man's country to start a life because they feel their structure is much more better. It might not be picture perfect, but compared to where they are coming from, it's better. So decide to put in their all, start a life, start a business, and then these individuals, the indigents in that particular country, decide to tear the whole place down, burning, because businesses have gone, churches have gone. With what we've heard, the reports that in which we're hearing, because I have friends in South Africa, and then you just wonder, and now you that are supposed to take responsibility for the people who are in these countries, you're telling them that they have to incur the expenses. Where are they going to get the money from? I don't understand. Like, we have a lot to do. Like I said, TOR, terms of reference, we have to understand where we come in and what impact we make in this particular area. Because I don't think we understand that. It's very heartbreaking, because a lot of Nigerians will say, you want me to still pay with all of these things? No. Some people would prefer to just stay and just unalive themselves or something. But God forbid,
or take their chances.
Or take their chances. Really scary, really.
You know, when Vusi Thebenkwayo, I mean, he was on the platform, like you mentioned, an event convened by Pastor Paul Joyemade recently, and he spoke to some of those issues. I could relate, really. I've never been to South Africa, but I realized that he is not just a South African. He is one of the brightest investors and business coaches that this continent has produced in contemporary times.
Of course.
He has traveled around the world, so he has multiple perspectives to look at these issues from. But then again, beyond what he said just a few days ago and the nuances of these issues, we're now looking at the response from the South African government. The posture and the rhetorics from the South African authorities are such that their messaging is wired around saying, hey, look, it's not our fault. You can't blame us that your people are running here. It's because you can't deal with your problems back at home. And apparently, that's the message they are sending to every African country that has its national in South Africa.
Yes.
And now President Bola Tinubu has said, look, we've got to set up as quickly as possible. That's the directive is given to the ambassadors, Nigerian ambassadors, or the entire Nigerian consulate right there in South Africa to say, look, we have to set up crisis and notification units, and that has to happen like yesterday morning, so that we can better coordinate all of these issues while we continue to engage and interface with South African people. But you see, in all of this, it will appear South Africans easily forget. We can forgive the Gen Zs in that country because they probably are not in touch with history.
No, they're not.
If they knew what several African countries led, and history shows that very clearly.
Remember that?
By Nigeria, they probably would they will show a bit of gratitude. They will come up with some more appreciable amount of humanity. They would relate better because there seems to be this feeling of, well, you're coming here to take our bread and our water.
Like,
in the manner of speaking, we're not going to allow that to happen.
Take our women.
Right, and then of course our jobs and what have you. It's bad messaging, and when you see the videos, when you see the sort of response that the government is providing,
the non-challenges for me,
I don't get it. It's all questionable.
Like, you know, it's the non-challenge I see and I perceive. And of course, from the president, we know what the president said and all of that. It wasn't called for. If you're a leader, you should lead by example. It's very important. You're supposed to try and curb this particular issue. For as much as, okay, fine, you want foreigners, African brothers to leave. There's a better tone. There's a better way to say it or put it out there, you know. It's just unfortunate. And, you know, when you tag all of this and you wonder, I could remember the appetite. We're very little, but we understand that South Africa.
Nigeria was deeply involved. We took it personal.
We took it very personal, that period. Like, you know what happened? Oh, my goodness. So, for you to do this to the Nigerians that stood by you at that time, it's just unfortunate. Like you said, the Gen Zs, they're not in tune with history. So, it's just unfortunate that this is what it is. But, you know, we're Africans, we're brothers, we have the same color of skin. So, hey,
we have to also think alike.
You have to also think alike. Now, we wonder, the foreigners in your country, so what, they are not coming to take over or whatever, is the Africans that you're bothered about when the foreigners who are there
should we also conversely be suspicious that South Africans who are in our country are here to take our jobs, take women, take real estate and what have you? Because my thinking is this: we cycle back to when we had Jacob Zuma as president of South Africa, who of course is the predecessor, immediate predecessor to President Cyril Ramaphosa. When their own company here, telecoms company, was fined to the tune of over $1 trillion on account of regulatory infraction, I mean, it was so disturbing that the president at the time, Mr. Zuma, flew to Abuja. Then, of course, we had the blessed memory, former President Muhammadu Buhari in the saddle in this country. He was in Nigeria. He was practically on the ground. He even addressed a joint session of the National Assembly. All in a bid to diplomatically find an amicable resolution to that issue. Because it was a lot of money. He knew the impact it would have on the South African company at the time that was involved in all of this. And we know that these companies are non-state actors, so they are pivotal to their respective home governments. I'm saying this to say that our relationship amongst African countries, whether it's bilateral or unilateral, must go beyond Naira and Kobo, or whatever the currency may be. It has to be such that You've got my back, I've got your back.
Yes.
So if we say we are Africans, not only when it's convenient for us, not only when we can take advantage of Juma,
exactly.
or Juma can get something off of we, that you say, well, we are Africans. We've got to be Africans, comrade, or something.
Brotherhood.
Right.
Brotherhood, very important. And I said one of the best things that ever happened to South Africa was the late President Nelson Mandela was one of the best things that happened. And of course, his predecessor that understood, what's his name now?
Talk about Thabo Mbeki.
Exactly. Those were one of the best presidents I have, because they understood what unity was all about. Patriotism was all about. They understood the impact of brothers coming in, building. They understood building together. Which is unfortunate that I don't think that, my friend will say, he doesn't think that Cyril Ramaphosa really understands what it is and what it takes. This particular action that is ongoing and his nonchalantness that he assumes, it's just unfortunate. And you just wonder, you say to yourself, what is actually going on? We do not understand brotherhood. We do not understand unity, coming together as Africans and building something really stronger and better. Your impact makes a difference in my country. It does a lot. It brings in a lot. It's just unfortunate. I'm forgetting that Nigerians are one of your biggest investors when it comes to telecoms and all of that. I just don't want to mention any name, but we know
you don't mention banking.
Telecoms, banking, and all of that. So, and I like the fact that some individuals in Nigeria are saying that let us cut them off. And it's true. But in a way, Cyril Ramaphosa said something very vital. Let's look within and see how we can better ourselves. This is an eye-opener to leaders all over the world, because we do not know what can happen, and your citizens are actually looking upon you. If the country was A-OK, I don't think anyone want to relocate, or will I use the word japa?
On a final note, I'm asking myself as I sit here this morning, if former President Nelson Mandela was alive, would this be happening?
No,
I'm not so sure.
No.
His successor, again, like we mentioned, Mr. Thabo Mbeki, who, by the way, by the 18th of next month will be 84 years. I'm wondering, what are his thoughts when he reflects on all of these issues right now? I mean, these are senior Africans, so to say, and you have them across the continent.
Yes, you do.
But again, like I asked in the course of this week, what is the African Union doing about this, beyond just releasing statements and the normal talk shows that we set up around things like this? But we must, first of all, find the courage, take the initiative to identify what the driving factors are.
Very important.
And then also be able to muster whatever it requires to deal with it head on. All right, we're taking a quick break, everyone. The rest of the show continues shortly. Do stay with us.
All right, you're welcome back. And if you're just tuning in, this is Global Morning on Global Television. And all these talks about xenophobic attacks, South Africans, Nigerians, it makes one really a bit hungry at about this time. Are you hungry?
Yeah, well, what can I do? I can't watch you eat alone, because, I do the same amount of work on the program as you do. Sauce for the goose, they say sauce for the gander.
Okay, we hear you. And about this time, let us go to the segment of Taste and Texture. Let's see what breakfast ideas we have. Stay tuned.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Taste and Texture. This is Saadatu Garba, your creative chef. In today's episode of the program, we'll be making chips in egg. Chips and egg is the ultimate breakfast consumed in Nigerian homes. The delicious richness of the potatoes pairs nicely with the egg and other ingredients that you'd love to make this over and over again. Ingredients: potatoes, 4 eggs, chopped onions, chopped scotch bonnet, green and red bell peppers, seasoning cubes, salt, vegetable oil, and water. Step 1. Peel the potatoes and cut into long strips. Add your potatoes into a bowl and sprinkle some salt. Add some oil to a pan, then fry your potatoes till crispy. Step 2. For the eggs, break your eggs into a bowl. Sprinkle some salt and beat the eggs. In a pan, add some oil and onions and fry for a bit. Add your bell peppers, scotch bonnet, and stir, then add your seasoning powder. Add the beaten eggs into a pan and mix the eggs and vegetables together. Arrange your chips into the pan and cover to cook for a minute. Flip the egg and chips to the other side to cook as well. There you have it, your chips in egg is ready to enjoy. That's a wrap on today's episode of Taste and Texture. I hope you enjoyed this culinary demonstration and trust you will try this recipe at home. Be sure to join me again for yet another taste-friendly delicacy. I am Saadatu Garba, your creative chef, saying thank you for watching.
All right, you're welcome back. Hope you enjoyed that breakfast idea from the Taste and Texture segment. And if you're wondering what that is all about, that's our local way of making potato pizza. Just a different way from chips and eggs, the regular chips and eggs that you just fry. But sometimes you have to top it up a notch a bit and give it that flavor, that cuisine, that touch of international flair.
I would be surprised if the Jimai starts a food chain business after this program.
Really?
So please be sure that we take a look at our contracts so we don't have a conflict of interest. We can have a broadcaster who also sells food.
Funny enough, I told you there was a program. I was okay. I don't want to mention the brand,
right.
But I did food at a point on radio. That is,
right.
It was a kitchen program, and it was really good. Everyone like write a book, open a book, open. I was like, nah.
There was plenty of time for that.
Plenty of time. I'm just a foodie at heart. Oh, enough about taste and texture now. Let us go over to the segment and be inspired this morning with Heart to Heart Inspirational with Ramsey Enoch Agbo. Stay tuned.
Hello and welcome to another beautiful day right here. It is Heart to Heart Inspirational. And of course, my name is Ramsey Enoch Agbo. Your voice matters. That's what we want to look at today. Your voice matters. Okay. It doesn't matter. When we say your voice matters, what are we talking about? Is it that you are talkative? Is it that you are loquacious? Is it that you are a lingua franca? You can speak a lot of languages. Is that what we mean when we say your voice matters? A lot of voices have gone down the drain today. A lot of good voices, all right? When we say your voice matters, are we talking about the fact that you can sing or you are a poet? No, it's beyond that. Let me give you something right now. Silence has cost the world many solutions. Somewhere, someone needed your voice, but you never knew. But one of the things that have stopped a lot of people, a lot of voices from being heard, a lot of opinions from being shared, a lot of talents from being manifested is fear. Fear of what will happen if it doesn't go my way. My voice, are you sure my idea is going to count? Are you sure my opinion matters? Your voice is needed at several places for several reasons, but fear convinced you to stay quiet. You see what fear does? What is fear? In the actual sense of it, let me define fear for you. Fear is spelled F-E-A-R. Let me give you the acronym of fear. Fear is false evidence appearing to be real. That is false evidence appearing real. F for fear, E for evidence, A for appearing, then R for real. It is not real, but it's appearing to be real. You see, you've been quiet because of fear. You've been quiet because of maybe you feel you're going to be embarrassed, whereas you have a very good idea. Some people can never share their ideas All right. I'm not saying you should share your vision to dream killers. That's not what I'm saying. Please, let's get this right, because I tell people all the time, it's not everybody you share your dreams with. If you are in doubt, please go and ask Joseph, his own brother. You remember what they did to him. I'm not saying you should share your dream with every Dick and Harry. Your plans, go and share your plans with everyone you see on the road. In fact, people, it's not even good to talk too much. Anywhere you go, you are just like a typewriter. 200 words in 1 minute. Habba. That's not the kind of voicing, speaking that I'm talking about. All right? Your voice carries story. It carries your experience. And it carries your perspective. And a lot of people will tell you that a closed mouth is a closed destiny. A closed mouth is a closed destiny. A lot of people cannot be helped because, number one, they don't know the right people to even talk to. A lot of people are talking to the wrong persons per time. First of all, you need to know where and when your voice is supposed to be heard. You need to know where and when you need to speak. You don't speak everywhere. You don't talk everywhere. You should not be predictable. When people see you, they should not say, you don't they come. We know. Then before you know what is happening, you landed the venue and 200 words per minute. And you're not even making sense with what you're saying. It's embarrassing. That's not the kind of voice that I'm talking about. The voice that comes with quality. The voice that comes with perspective to every situation. The voice that comes with an experience that someone can learn from and become successful in life. A voice that carries stories that stands the test of time. Do you know that you go to some places and you share your story or maybe an experience or a perspective and somebody catch their vision? Yes. Somebody might just be around there. This is somebody that has been thinking, all right, of what to do in life. What do I even need to do in life? What am I in life for? Some people are even thinking suicide because they don't know what to do. Life doesn't mean anything to them. Then you come there, you begin to share stories, you begin to share testimonies, you begin to say some kind of positive things, and these people begin to realize themselves. They begin to discover themselves, because in every word that you speak, somebody is hearing, and every word that you hear per time have an impact in your life, either negatively or positively. And that's the reason I tell people all the time, it's not everyone you listen to. Be careful what you hear all the time. Be careful who you give your ears to. Be careful who you share your moments with. What you have survived qualifies you to speak. What you've learned position you to help other people. You don't need to be a perfect person to be impactful. You don't need perfection to be impactful. That thing you are hiding, that story you are hiding, that idea you are hiding, that inspiration you are hiding could be something that can change somebody's life forever. A lot of us are supposed to be making impacts with our voices, but we are hidden. We are trampled in fear. You need authenticity, as a matter of fact. Let me give you an instance. This is just an illustration. A candle, we all know what a candle is. A candle doesn't just lose light by lighting another candle. All right? You get that. You light a candle, for instance, then you use that candle to light another candle. The first candle that you use in lighting the second candle does not lose its light. That is impact there. It has made impact, but it never affected it in any way. Now, your voice doesn't diminish others. It multiplies impact. That is, I'm talking about a positive voice, all right? A positive voice. Okay, there are some people that if they come and they speak, you hear wisdom. You spend 2 minutes with some persons. When they want to leave, you say, you'll be feeling bad. I wish this person can stay with me a little more time. Because these are people that their voices multiply impact. Maybe you knew something before. Why am I saying this? Let me establish this. I'm saying all of this so that you know the kind of people you listen to. You know the kind of voices you listen to. And you on your own part should know that your voice needs to be heard. Except you know the import of it, you will just keep quiet where you are supposed to speak. You are not making impact. It doesn't diminish you if you make impact. It doesn't affect you, but then it lightens somebody's word. Maybe to somebody that is downcasted, somebody that is about committing suicide, somebody who is feeling lonely, just a word from you can make somebody's day. Like I was telling someone some times back, just a smile, good morning, how you doing, can make someone feel big. Exchange of smile. By the time you smile to someone and the person smiles back, you know, it's have a way of making people feel good, of setting people's day, a good pace for people's day. Stop minimizing your stories. Speak, even when your voice is shaky. Share what you know now, all right? Share what you know now. Because maybe by the time you want to speak it the next time, it may not be as valuable as it is when that inspiration comes. All right? When you have the leading to do it, go ahead and do it. Maybe you want to start a business, for instance, and there is someone around you you need to speak to. You know, don't hold it back. If you have the leading to speak to the person, go ahead and do it. Your voice, okay? Your voice is someone else's breakthrough, in case you don't know. All right? Your voice is someone else's breakthrough, but you may not know that. Okay? Your voice, your own voice, is somebody else's breakthrough. Open your mouth, speak the truth, speak it out. The world is waiting for your sound. The world is waiting for your manifestation. The world is waiting for you to let that thing out of you. Especially when you know it's inspiring. Especially when you know it's going to stop someone from maybe committing suicide. Because a lot of people are confused in this generation. They don't even know what to do. And that's why you have a lot of photocopy. We have few originals. A lot of people are duplicates of other people's ideas, of other people's lifestyle, of other people's opinion. But you got a voice. Your voice can shape somebody's destiny forever. What are you waiting for? What are you scared of? Fear has stopped a lot of people from doing so many things, from taking a particular step they need to take. But today, I want to charge you. I want to inspire you. I want to speak to your heart that your voice, there are people today. Let me say this. I think I need to say this because you don't know who is listening to what you're saying. In that meeting, in that gathering, all right, you don't know if your destiny helper is there. Maybe a contribution that you want to make as you're trying to make sense on time, it will give the person by your side, all right, an inspiration, an acumen, okay, to become what they have been planning to be. Your voice might be a witness to what the Spirit is telling them, to what their mind is telling them, to what their instinct is telling them. So speak it out. Stop holding it back. Congratulations, everyone, listening to the sound of my voice right now, because you are a success, going somewhere to happen, a voice that the world will reckon with. And as expectation of a lot of creature is the manifestation of people like you. Go, manifest, voice it out, say it. The truth. You should be known with saying the truth all the time. Have a beautiful day. Bye-bye for now.
All right, you're welcome back. Hope you enjoyed that heart-to-heart inspirational with Ramsey Enoch Agbo. At about this time is the newspaper review segment. And we'll start with the first paper of the day is the Daily Independent. And above the nameplate, it says subscribers lament network woes despite NCC compensation order. FG hints on migrating NECO to CBT exam mode by 2027. And that read is on page 7 on the Daily Independent. Now the star story on the Daily Independent says 2027 presidential race. I will consult widely before making a decision. And that's from the former President Goodluck Jonathan. And that read you will find on page 29. Now below that on page 7 it says Big Tent is movement with members in LP, NDC, ADC, others. And that is from Utomi. And still below all of that, Gombe ADC warns of democratic collapse over alleged judicial plot. And still on to page 29. On page 7 again, it says Tinubu reassigns Fani Kayode as South Africa ambassador designate. And on page 6, it says Senate passes 2026 Electoral Act amendment to streamline pre-election litigations. And still on the Daily Independent, and it's on page 7 again, it says Senate rescinds ban on first-time senators seeking presiding offices. And below the foot of the Daily Independent says 2027 Shettima submits Tinubu's nomination forms to APC. That's on page 6. And basically, those are all the major issues on the Daily Independent. Go out and get yourself a copy and be well impressed with the issues making a round. Next is the Daily Sun. Over to you, Mr. Uyi.
All right, thank you, Jumai. Okay, well, let's begin from the one adjacent name masts. APC governors will deliver Tinubu in 2027. That's according to the governor of Imo State, Hope Uzodimma. IMF fears AI cyber attacks could cripple global financial system. It's enough to be afraid, but let's see how we can build ethical framework around it. I'm consulting widely on 2027 presidential race. Jonathan, we understand some young people had met with him, urging the former president to consider standing for election in 2027. But he says he would have to consult widely about it. But here we have a writer with it. It says, charges supporters to get voters card before asking him to contest. Yes, let's keep the main thing. Our bottom left says, Senate moves to cut off tribunal presidential election litigation. A fresh amendment approves Federal High Court's appeal court jurisdiction for pre-election matters. The gunman abducts 6 Nasarawa varsity students. Biram Youth's false police on mass burial killing say denial misleading. Again, that borders on insecurity on page 4 of the Daily Sun newspaper. Courts convicts ex-power minister Mamman in absentia over 33.8 billion naira fraud, orders his arrest. You know, there's something funny about this case. Yesterday we read that, in the news, that's his lawyer. This somebody who had been Minister of Power, talking about Mr. Saleh, Mohammed Saleh, who we understand had been investigated, indicted by the FCC for fraud. But yesterday, we understand his lawyer had told courts that, look, he couldn't even tell of his whereabouts. So it's like your lawyer saying that he can't tell of your whereabouts. But the judge says that's not good enough, because I've seen him and it's in the news that the man has gone to purchase form to run for governor of his state. So how do you tell me you don't know where he is? And then the judge says, look, he's guilty, even though the man was not in court. The part that is not only serious but also a bit hilarious is how your lawyer says to the courts that, look, this client of mine, I can't tell where he is. I can't find him. I can't put a finger on his whereabouts whatsoever. And judge says that's not true, really, because the man is out there, he's celebrating, he's all over the place, he's attending social functions. In fact, he has gone ahead to register his interest to stand for governor of his state. And to do that, you must be actively out there. So if you say you don't know where he is, It's falsehood because you can't say he's not. I mean, he's hiding. If he's hiding, he won't be in the public buying forms.
A public eye.
Right, that's another thing. I think I need to think about what that judge deserves to get by way of appreciation for, bringing this sort of premium facts out. But you see, that's one thing about the law, Jumai. Emotions don't have a place in it.
No, it doesn't.
Sentiments, biases don't have a place in it. It's got to be based on facts. And apparently, the man's lawyer could not counter the judge's position because, like we say, it's common sense.
It is common sense.
Right, let's go wrap it up, everyone, on the Daily Sun newspaper this morning. The last one here, when you look at that paper, it says Senate. Yes, that's what we are now. It says Senate makes U-turn on standing rules for selecting or electing presiding officers, retains previous provisions. So what was the hula baloo and the fight between President of the Senate and my senator, distinguished Senator Adams Aliyu Shomole? Well, again, we hear that they reverted to status quo. Those are your headlines from the Daily Sun, everyone. Be sure to read up details for yourself, as always. Well, the next part of call for us now will be the Blueprint newspaper.
All right, now the Blueprint newspaper, above the nameplate, it says Nigeria records 281,500 compromised accounts amid rising cyber threats, and that's on page 23. Now below that it says El-Rufai's trial stalled, court hears preliminary motions and June 1st, and that's on page 9. And on page 23, that's the business segment, Naira straightens to 1,357 Naira to $1 amid CBN support Treasury bill inflows. And on the sports segment on page 32, it says Mekaba Uwajomo More emerge Eaglets coaches. Okay, Falconets, Eagles, Eaglets coaches. Okay. And the star story there says xenophobic attack. FG moves to rescue citizens in South Africa. Commits to diaspora engagement. And the writer says, my posting opportunity to serve Nigeria better. And that's from Fani Kayode, and that's on page 6. And it says, Shettima submits Tinubu's re-election form, says Nigeria working. And that's on page 6. And and Jonathan, the former president, says, I'm still consulting presidential race, not computer game. Okay. Okay. Okay, let's move now. It says, ex-power minister Saleh Mamon jailed over 33.8 billion naira fraud. And the writer says Mamon's lifestyle contributed to nation's epileptic power supply. Okay. And below that, it reads, fight against fake news, hate speech, collective responsibility. And that's from Idris. And that's on page 14. And those are all the major headlines on the Blueprint. Go out and get yourself a copy and be well informed. Next is the Daily Times. Over to you, Uyi.
All right. Here with a picture of Femi Fani Kayode, ambassador designate. Why I requested for redeployment to South Africa. Fani Kayode, that news came through yesterday that he had made a requisition formally to be redeployed to South Africa as against his original country of deployment. The Star headline here says, hands off at judicial matters, ADC warns government agents. Two riders tell us, alleges Justice Winte under pressure to recuse himself, calls for intervention of CGN, Kekere Ekun, NJC, others. 2027, Tinubu submits presidential forms, solicits support for second term from Nigerians. We understand his number 2 man, Vice President Kashim Shettima, had done that for him just yesterday. Again, NIMET warns of flooding in 19 states, cautions motorists against flooded areas. Not so many headlines on the front page of the Daily Times today, but that isn't an excuse not to read up details for yourself as we move to the next one, which is the Daily Trust.
All right, now the Daily Trust newspaper. And on the Daily Trust, it says here below the nameplate, it says Senate reverses leadership eligibility rule, and that's on page 8. And on page 11, it says 2027, Shettima leads 12 governors to submit Tinubu's forms. And on page 21, it says what you should know about hantavirus. Of course, that's the new deadly virus that is out now. I think we need to get abreast and to know what that is all about. I know it could be transmitted through body, human to human, and all of that. But
physical contact.
And I'm sure we're going to get to do.
The Nigerian authorities say we are still observing to see how it mutates.
Exactly.
But in the meantime, it's not an immediate threat within our territory.
Yes, it's not. But at least they say prevention is better than cure. And of course, the start story here, it says 33.8 billion naira fraud conviction revives Mambila scandal. And still on the Daily Trust, how Jonathan's presidential bid resurfaced, and that's on page 5. And gunmen adopt Nasarawa varsity students, that's on page 26. And on page 12, it says, Bello El-Rufai's defection, what changed? And on page 7, it says, Nigerian exporter embraced China's zero tariff policy with caution. And basically, those are all the major headlines on the Daily Trust. Go out and get yourself a copy and be well abreast. Next is the First Daily. Over to you, Uyi.
Police urge Nigerians to report officers' misconduct. If there's anything we have learned from what happened in Urie in Delta State, I think this is one of them. How that we must not keep quiet. We must not be silent in the face of police misconduct and any form of untoward behavior. The big one has a kicker. Jonathan breaks silence. I'll consult YB before declaring presidential bid. Right, it says court to rule on ex-president's eligibility May 8th, and that is today. Global Television will be in court to bring you all of those details as well. And then we have 3 headlines on the right end of the front page. 33.8 billion naira fraud, court convicts ex-power minister Mamman. Troops rescue 9 kidnapped victims, arrest arms career in Kogi. Senate scraps standing orders after constitutional clash. Tinubu redeploys Fani Kayode from Germany to South Africa. The man says it was one that made the requisition, but well, whatever the case may be, may Nigeria be the ultimate beneficiary. Nigerian billionaire drug baron, 2 female kingpins nabbed in global sting. Yahaya Bello trial, witness reveals 23 million naira cash handouts. And then on the foot of the front page, the last one here, WHO, antivirus outbreak not start of new pandemic. That clarification was necessary and very timely as well. Okay, for perspectives and context, please read up all the headlines, or at least as much as you can, as we turn to the Guardian newspaper now.
All right, now the Guardian newspaper, above the nameplate, it says, First Holdco PLC profit rockets 72.2% in QI. Now, below all of that, it says here on page 3, Senate reverses controversial eligibility rule for presiding officers. And on page 3, it says Nigeria protests killing in South Africa as Tinubu orders crisis notification unit. And on page 3, again, it says reps launch probe into debt owed FG, rising building material cost. And the big story on page 4 and 5, it says NFF sit tight syndrome, how shield process makes life benches of football administrators. And here it says the broken playbook, Nigeria's football governance versus global best practices. Okay. And below all of that, or beside it, says dozens feared killed, villages razed in Kogi communal clash. This hits home because I'm from Kogi State. And that's on page 27.
That's the other 50% of you, right? You know 50% is my place.
Please, it's okay.
No, just so we set the record straight.
Okay, half of me. Well, it's we're one Nigeria. What can I say?
Ultimately.
They say love knows no bounds.
Right.
Yes, it does.
Across border.
Yeah. So my dad had to, you know how it is. All right, on page 28 it says, NIMET warns of fresh flooding in 19 states. Partners NEMA on action plan. I think this is the way to go. Well, I think we would have done this long before now. It's very important that precautionary measures are being met because we're scared of floods, and this is the same report back to back from 2 years ago, 3 years ago till date, and it just borders on the fact that we do not sit down, plan before all of this starts to resurface. But I hope this is a step in the right direction to curb it as soon as possible. And it says ADC commits to court ruling, disassociates from proposed state congresses, and that's from page 7. And on page 6, it says APC paves Tinubu's 2027 run as opposition battle INEC timelines, lawsuits. And on page 7, it says 2027. And that's the picture of the former president, Goodluck Jonathan. It says, Jonathan explores options as court fixes today for suit on his eligibility. And it says, Nupeng seeks transparency, timely execution as FG moves to revamp Warri PH refineries. All right, and that's on page 7. And for me, that is a step in the right direction. Of course, we need all of these revenues, very important to Nigeria. And those are all the major headlines on The Guardian. Go out and get yourself a copy and be well abreast with major issues making rounds. Next, it's The Nation.
And then we begin that with a headline immediately beneath the name masts. It says Sunbirth to launch 70,000 metric ton cocoa, 80,000 metric ton cashew processing plants in March 2027. That apparently is an ambitious initiative. The big one, Shetima, Nigeria working. Well, that's subject to debate, and again, is that relative or subjective? A vice president leads APC senior figures to submit Tinubu's nomination form. A picture speaks for itself, all right? Ex-Power Minister Mamman convicted for 33.8 billion naira fraud on page 3. Senate adjusts amendment to presiding officers' election rule. What's more, let's just see a piece like a snippet from what the vice president said. He has sailed this ship through troubling waters with courage, taking difficult but necessary decisions to stabilize the economy. Apparently, that's the vice president speaking in reference to what he believes that President Tinubu has been doing to help better position the nation's economy virtually 3 years down the line. Lastly, we have one here with a picture of the Honorable Minister of Foreign Affairs, Dr. Bianca Odumegu Ojukwu. It reads, federal government demands anti-xenophobia action from South Africa. No more, no less. That's all we have for you on the Nation newspaper this morning. Be sure to read up details as you start this weekend. But next is the New Telegraph.
All right, now in the New Telegraph, and above the nameplate it says OPS, poor tax reforms, implementation strangulating SMEs, and below that it says promotion crisis rocks BB's senior directors petition, and that's Shetima on page 7. And below the nameplate it says here, of course, we've been reading this particular story back to back on all the dailies. It says, I'll consult widely on 2027 presidency, Jonathan says, and Tinubu's re-election guaranteed, and that's from Abbas. And that read you will find on page 2 and 6. And on page 4, it says, court convicts ex-power minister Mammon of 33.8 billion naira fraud. And the writer says, defers sentencing till May 12th. And on page 5, picture of Fani Kayode says, Fani Kayode confirms redeployment to South Africa. And then on page 4, it says, Rubio meets Pope in bid to ease tensions. And on the star story on the New Telegraph reads, 2027, INEC demands security risk analysis of potential flashpoints. And we have two writers there. It says here, describes party congresses, conventions as security triggers. Police take over SDP secretariat as leadership crisis deepens. ADC alleges plot to remove judge from case against Gombe. And that read you will find on page 2, 4, and 30. And on page 3 and 6, it says here 2027, El-Rufai's son, 4 other reps moved to ADC and DC. Presidential poll, Big Ten's community will support candidates with people's interest, and that's from Tommy. On page 29, it says 6 killed in Zamfara roadside explosion. The rider reads 6 varsity students abducted in Nasarawa. Very sad there. And below the foot of the New Telegraph, Senate restores old procedure of electing presiding officers. And that's from page 2, 3, and 4. And on page 3 says Nigerians' growing debt burden. Reps set up panel to probe debt owed federal government. And at the foot of the New Telegraph, it reads on page 30, it says, expert cautions against excess consumption of soursop leaves. Okay, I've never had the leaf, but I've had the fruit itself, soursop.
I have.
And it's delicious.
I have severally, growing up in particular.
The leaf?
No, I mean soursop itself.
The soursop itself,
Right.
that's what I know. I don't know about
All whites inside.
Of course, with the seed, I know they're fantastic. When it's soft and then you just put it in the fridge once it's cold. Some people don't like that when it's cold. But first of all, you have to wash it with salt. Clean, very importantly. Rinse it off, and then with a spoon, you cut it in two and just put it on a plate and just cross your legs and just...
But for the leaf, that's a bit alien to me.
It is. I'm sure it's going to be really hard. I don't know, but why do people do that? Is it medicinal or what's going on?
Again, I'm asking myself, what scientific background do we have to it?
Exactly.
I'm not so much about what leaf you decide to eat or use for medicinal purpose or curative purposes. But again, how scientifically sound is
that? And how healthy is it? We have to be very sure. People just do stuff.
No assumptions.
Please. Of course, next is the Nigerian News Direct, and of course, we will take us through the Nigerian News Direct.
Okay, this will be our penultimate paper. It says xenophobia, federal government to evacuate Nigerians from South Africa. Those are details you would find on page 13. Right-hand corner of the paper, like Bala Mohammed, Makinde loyalists may defect to APM. Marketers slash PMS prices in Lagos, Abuja, others. Reps constitutes committee to investigate debts owed federal government. Communities that negotiated with bandits now enjoying peace. That's according to Katsina State's Governor Diko Rada. Well, maybe we need to see some of those communities and investigate the model that they used, which the governor claims is now bringing peace to those places. Lastly, 33.8 billion naira fraud. Court convicts former Power Minister Saleh Mamman. Those are your headlines from the Nigerian News Direct today. If I were you, I'll be sure I read up details. Last of them all is the Punch newspaper.
All right. And of course, that's the last paper on the newspaper review segment. And it says some births to launch 70,000 empty cocoa, 8,000 empty cashew processing plant in March 2027. Now, at the side of the nameplate, it says here 2027. Jonathan considers comeback as court hears eligibility suit today, and that's on page 8. And still on the Punch, it says first holdco profit rocket 72.2% in QI. And the star story on the Punch reads primary elections. ABC consensus push faces resistance in state. And it says Yobe, Ogun, Sokoto, Plateau, Kwara aspirants oppose consensus, demand competitive race. Ondo, Benue, or your gear up for primaries as Tinubu governor aspirants submit nomination forms. And it says here APC adopt direct primary for presidential ticket. And basically, that is all the major headlines on the Punch newspaper. Go out and get yourself a copy and be well abreast. I would like to say well informed to avoid fake news. And that brings us to the end of the newspaper review segment on Global Morning. Remember, Global Morning Crew or Global Television do not have any editorial judgment whatsoever on the national dailies that was brought to you. It was read to you just how it was published. Up next is Social Buzz with Ogochukwu Mobuno. Stay tuned.
Wake up with Global Morning, your daily guide to what's happening and making the rounds.
We delve into headlines, newspaper reviews, spot-on analysis, policies, current events, real talk, real issues that affect us all.
From the latest trends to the debate, every topic, every angle, Global Morning is where it all starts.
Global Morning,
For the latest issues,
always on point.
watch Global Morning, Monday to Friday.
At Wichtech Cables, we don't just make cables, we deliver excellence. Our products are built with advanced technology, trusted for their unmatched quality and durability. With a wide range of cables, swift delivery, and continuous innovation, we stay ahead of the market demand. We are proudly Nigerian, fully indigenous, yet world-class. Backed by a professional team, strong technical support, and a deep commitment to customer satisfaction. Wichtech Cables is more than a brand, it's a promise. Wichtech Cables, quality cables better than the best.
At Aerogym Shoe Factory, excellence starts from the ground up. Located at number 1 Pound Road behind Nigeria Correctional Service, Aba, Abia State. We produce 1,500 high-quality shoes every single day. Paramilitary shoes, safety boots, desert boots, ankle shoes, back-to-school footwear. All crafted with state-of-the-art equipment and built for strength, comfort, and durability. For reliable footwear that stands the test of time, choose Aerogym Shoes for better product, strong steps, smart style. For inquiries, call 091-264-53399 or 070-3009-3944 or 080-6573-8374 or call 081-3167-3668. Email info@aerogym.com. Website www.aerogymdesign.com. Aerogym. Walk with confidence. Walk with pride.
Social media speaks. We listen and we bring you the extra. It's your one-stop shop for trends, tweets, and the tea everyone's sipping on. Join the conversation share your thoughts, and get that extra dose of what's shaking the internet.
And on issues making wave on social media to your doorstep.
Social Buzz Extra, where the trend meets the talk, only on Global TV.
It's time to look at buzzing issues on social media. And today we're taking an update story from the killing in Ephraim. Police have reportedly arrested 2 suspects in connection with the movement of a pistol and ammunition linked to the killing of 28-year-old Ogenemine Ogidi in Ephraim. The arrests are said to include the alleged sender of the Beretta pistol and 4 rounds of ammunition from Yenogwa, which authorities believe eventually led to the fatal shooting involving ASP Nuhu Usman. As he said, the 2 suspects were brought into the Ephraim Area Command under the Delta State Police Command on Wednesday night as investigations continue into the movement of the firearm and the circumstances surrounding Ogidi's death. Police authorities have yet to officially comment on the reported arrest. However, a source familiar with the investigation confirmed that they just brought in 2 suspects on Wednesday night. It's not been announced who is who yet, but I can tell you for free that one of them is the person who sent the gun through a transport line from Yenogwa to Ephraim. That's what the source is saying, from where media picked it to send to a Saple owner at the Ephraim Motor Park, where he was caught and extrajudicially killed by ASP Nuhu and accomplices. The source added that, like I said, it's not clear if the other person among the 2 could be the driver who brought the parcel from Yenogwa, but it's clear that the sender is among the duo just apprehended, and the trial continues for the other suspects. The incident has continued to generate reactions following allegations that Ogidi, popularly known as Mine, was extrajudicially killed after being intercepted at the motor park in Ephraim. The case also drew emotional reactions from family members, including the victim's mother, who previously questioned the circumstances surrounding the death of her sons. All right, if you have been following this story, you should have known by now that, yes, we also have an update story about this policeman Nuhu and also his accomplices who have, the IGP of police have said, you know what, we are setting these people out. They are leaving the police. They are no longer part of us. So, yes, that's one of the update story. And this one here, an arrest, 2 persons have been arrested, concerning this particular issue. All right, let's take a look at this comment from social media. There are some comments here, and the first comment is coming from, it is Ugochukwu. And Ugochukwu says, they should have waited for this arrest before the rubbish they did. All right, thank you so much, Ugochukwu. The next comment is coming from Zensi Babe. Zensi Babe said, finally, police have carried out proper investigation, but this guy is gone. May we never die, unfortunately, in God's name. All right, thank you so much, Zensi. And the last but not the least for this particular story is coming from I am Wendy of Lagos. Wendy says, but why didn't the sender send to Saple direct? Why did he receive it just to send again when the God wants to disgrace you the first to make you mad? All right, thank you so much, everyone who dropped their comment concerning this story. It is really a sad one, when I remember when I watched the video of the mom when she was being interviewed, and she said that's how she lost 2 of her sons to police brutality. They killed 2 of her sons. And we don't know what exactly the case of the first one is, but this one is something that is open, it's all over social media, and a lot of persons really were angry with the police. It's more like police brutality coming back again, even after the police brutality process that happened sometime in 2020-2021. But then we get to see it happen over and over again. There are so many cases like that on social media, but we are taking that of Ogenemine, and this is the update story. 2 persons have been apprehended. Now the question is, how long do we continue to kill people, innocent people, before investigation? Well, I'm not alone today in this studio. I have with me Uyi Agomofwebi. Good morning, Uyi.
Good morning, Agachiko. As always, it's a delight to see you. Happy Friday.
Happy Friday to you too, Uyi. All right, let's take this update story. It's Oganemine story. I think the last time I talked about it here, I think I discussed it with you also, or with Priscilla. But, you know, the story is something that everyone is involved. Everyone knows about it. And, you know, I said, I also, you know, went further to talk about it that particular date, that period this happened. And I said, we don't even see these people harass ladies. There are some ladies that, you know, I'm not trying to justify ladies, but, you know, I'm saying that there are some ladies that are, you know, they commit this crime, but we don't get to see them go towards, they don't harass ladies. We don't see police people harassing ladies, or policemen or security men harassing ladies. I'm not saying go harass ladies, but then we could see that their hands are not really totally clean. That's number one. Number two, why do we lack proper investigations before we go ahead to harass people? In Nigeria, I don't think they carry out proper investigation, just like we lack proper research in Nigeria. We lack proper investigation in Nigeria. Right now, you started investigating after the deed has been done. Well, I'm so happy that, yes, these policemen have been apprehended too and, you know, sent out of the institution. But then again, it is something we need to talk about, because if we don't talk about it, it will keep happening, and a lot of persons, innocent people, will just go down there. Just yesterday, I also read in the news that a man spends over 20 years in jail innocently. A young boy has also been arrested. He was arrested in 2023 and yet to be out. He was arrested when he was 14, so he should be on his way to being 17, or if not 17 already. But why was he arrested? He was among protesters, and he was just 14 years old, and he was arrested. But funny part is that he wasn't even protesting, he was selling. He was among, this one is part, it's trending right now. He was selling. So the sister has come out to say, you know what, it's been 3 years. They did not give us, they don't want us to get a lawyer. They don't want us to get bail for this young boy. He's just 14 years old when he was apprehended and arrested by the police. What exactly is happening? Why no investigation before arrest?
You see, it's the culture of impunity, as they call it. Excuse me. When we talk about impunity, sometimes, or maybe for the most part, we tend to narrow it down and even limit it altogether to politicians, especially as it has to do with the electoral process, or how the government of the day treats the opposition or treats citizens and things like that. It's far beyond all of that. Impunity can even be between Uyi and Ogochukwu, one person meeting impunity or punitive sort of action against the other person. Now, when it comes to law enforcement, it's even worse. Because these law enforcement officers, or these law enforcers, are agents of states. So they are quote unquote licensed to carry out certain sort of actions, certain kinds of activities on behalf of the state. For example, if somebody is suspected of a crime, a policeman can arrest that person. Depending on the nature of the crime, the DSS can arrest that person. When they do that, the DSS officer or the police officer, as the case may be, or even the NSCDC officer, is not doing so in their capacity as a citizen or as a Nigerian. They are doing so on behalf of the state. However, the extent to which we now deploy those powers is where the problem starts, continues, and ends. For instance, like somebody asked, couldn't you have done your due diligence, done thorough investigative work before going on to arrest? But then, what do I know? It appears that for the most part, once you get on the uniform, you get a gun, of course, given to you by the government. Everybody has to be scared of you. Everybody has to scratch their heads twice to talk to you and things like that. It doesn't work like that. Look, I want to focus on the police for a second. If we say the police is your friend, the police must show that they are our friends. We can't continue to have a situation where an average policeman, a typical policeman, only sees himself, of course, or herself, as being the person against the rest of us, or we feeling we are against them. It can't be like that in a country where we're supposed to be citizens of the same nation. It doesn't work that way. Then, at this point, it's a good thing, maybe more than a coincidence, that we have a new IG in the saddle. It means that this IG must do beyond, and we've seen some evidence of that, and we must give him commendation too. Beyond what we are saying with other IGs, it's not enough to just come into office and you just do the traditional rhetorics. No, we must see action. We must see clear-cut distinction between you and where we are coming from. We must see a clear departure from the norm, which means that, like he had said a few days ago, that these persons, whoever is found culpable in this instant case, will not go unpunished. First of all, they will be dismissed from the police force. Second, they will be prosecuted within the ambit of the law. That's how it works. If we say we want an egalitarian society, I mean, I'm a realist. I'm not so sure how feasible that will be. But we must have a system where the law works, where somebody must be held to account in the eye of the law. We can't have a situation where one person is above the law. People must be subject to the law. That's why we talk about rule of law. And for the police, on the final note, please remember that Nigerians are the ones paying you. Whatever you are paid, it is from taxpayers' money. You can't use your gun to harass, you can't use your gun to beat, you can't use your gun to kill the same people. Policemen must realize that they are also agents of change. In fact, they are first responders in this regard. Therefore, we may not have a perfect situation, but we've got to have an excellent, mutually rewarding relationship that is between the police and the civilian population.
All right, thank you so much, Oye. That's a lot you've said right there. Like you said earlier, the police is your friend. If they get to say the police is your friend, then they have to really keep it, because we are supposed to be safe around these people, feel safe around them, and not be harassed or being killed severally. I think young people, especially the youth, have really received this harassment, especially young men. I don't know why I'm so particular about young men, but I know I see more stories from young guys, especially the ones doing well. You see some guys will tell you. Someone yesterday, I was going through social media, and there was like a group of persons, and they were just talking about police brutality and all of that. And he said he left Benin to Abuja, not because he didn't have a business in Benin, not because he wasn't comfortable with whatever it is he was doing in Benin, but because of the police harassment in Benin. It was too much. So he left Benin to Abuja, and since he came to Abuja, he had peace, like about 2 years now in Abuja. There's no one harassing him and nothing like that. But then in Benin, he said he was arrested one day because he had a PS5 in his car, and he said, where did you get money to get a PS5? And that was how he was arrested. You understand? And he had to pay so much. He said he even paid almost times 2 of the money he used to get the PS5 just to come out from the police cell. So these are things we should be talking about.
I've got you. Permit me to add this for a few seconds, right? First of all, must realize that the police must have a situation where police behave informed. In a bid to collect 10,000, 100,000, 1 million from a harmless, innocent citizen, don't act like you don't know how life works. People make legitimate money, and most of these young people make it in their numbers. In stacks. A lot of them work online. They work for large corporations across the world, from Europe to Asia to the Middle East, or even in countries, across Africa. So don't think that everybody earns within certain brackets. We must realize that. Second, the police must also now look out for those officers who are in the habits, who seem to be stuck in their ways, collecting money, extorting members of the public. You can't just flag somebody because they have a laptop. Their only crime is they have a laptop. Because they have a smartphone. Because, like she said, they have a game console, PS5 or whatever, Xbox 360 and all of that. See, it's 2026 for a reason. I don't know what else to tell you.
It is 2026 for a reason indeed. Thank you so much, Oye, once again. And yes, this is where we close the curtains for Social Pulse here on Global Morning. And yes, I'll be leaving you in the hands of Jumai and Oye as the ushers into the discussion of Global Morning. So go nowhere. I am Coach Kumobno. Good morning once again, Nigerians and viewers around the world. Bye for now.
When social media speaks, we listen and we bring you the extra. It's your one-stop shop for trends, tweets, and the tea everyone's sipping on. Join the conversation, share your thoughts, and get that extra dose of what's shaking the internet.
And on issues making wave on social media to your doorstep.
Social Buzz Extra, where the trend meets the talk, only on Global TV.
Wake up with Global Morning, your daily guide to what's happening and making the rounds.
We delve into headlines, newspaper reviews, spot-on analysis, policies, current events, real talk, real issues that affect us all.
From the latest trends to the debate, every topic, every angle, Global Morning is where it all starts.
Global Morning.
For the latest issues,
Always on point.
watch Global Morning Monday to Friday at 7 a.m. Saturday and Sunday at 8 a.m. on Global Television.
In an age of breaking news, you need a trusted source that prioritizes accurate, factual, and unbiased reporting. This is AM News, and I am Ubong Usoro.
On Global Television, our news is rooted in verified and authoritative storytelling that keeps you educated, informed, and enlightened on all the issues that matter to you. I am Sadia Yakubu. This is Midday News.
You can trust our multi-platform news broadcast real-time and fast-check stories for all the big local and foreign headlines round the clock. I am Ramsey Enoch Agbo. This is News Express.
Our array of anchors delivers the news to our teeming viewers, breaking it down with context and perspective. This is News Cycle on Global Television. I am Anieti Patrick.
And the flagship news is your hub for the day's most engaging stories. This is News Prime, and I am Jumai Manson.
Did you miss any of our news rounds? No worries. Catch up at 10 p.m. and midnight, 7 days of the week. I am Mukhtar Kasim.
Global TV is on DSTV channel 365 and Star Times channel 276. We're active across all social media platforms at Global TV NG.
Global TV News, accurate and unbiased. I'm Uyi Agmofwebe. All right, let's get talking, everyone, here on Global Morning. When you look across the country today, several concerns from top to bottom. 1 minute is the issue of insecurity and how it continues to increase, particularly in some sections of our great country. When you flip to the other side, it's economic challenges. Just a while ago, myself and my guys here on the program, we're talking about issues around cost of moving across the country, whether you're doing by road or you're going by air. These are legitimate concerns that citizens have. In the interim, we see projects across infrastructure, we see roads, we see bridges, we see quite a number of things within the construction space being done. And we understand that these are also very pivotal to economic development. But what should be the fundamental, really? Because there are those who say, look, we've got to deal with insecurity head on before we move on to other issues. After all, people have to stay alive to be able to use these facility and other such physical assets. But again, what is the correlation between infrastructure development, or call it evolution if you like, and fast-tracking economic development? We're joined on the program this morning by Haruna Braimo. I'm not adding comrades today. He's a member of the APC as well as a socio-economic analyst. Malam Braimo, I should say. It's good to have you on the program.
It's great to have you. Good morning.
Thank you, Jim.
Thank you for coming.
All right, great. I want us to start from these standpoints. I spoke with a policy consultant yesterday on a different program, and he said that there are bigger issues Nigeria should be looking at now, as against bragging about roads across the country, whether by the federal or the state governments. For him, he says things like insecurity, dealing with it must be taken care of squarely first. Second, we must ensure that we put food in real terms on the table of Nigerians before we go talking about roads we are building from Sokoto to Lagos or from Bayelsa to Akwa Ibom.
Okay, what is the question?
The question now is, are we not misplacing priorities by focusing on construction of roads?
No, as much as he's not totally wrong, he's also fundamentally not right.
That means ultimately he's wrong.
Not totally wrong.
Okay.
But when you fail in the fundamentals, because based on sentiments, at times we are tempted to delude ourselves from the real issues. Insecurity is an issue, quite frankly. But the approach, at times, we speak out of sentiment to profound solution. And every sentiment-based solution to insecurity will not work. The biggest and the most fundamental approach to solving insecurity worldwide is provision of good governance. You understand? When there is good governance, crime will reduce naturally. It is as a result of disequilibrium in socio-economic provision, which includes this infrastructural provision, that have led some group, disequilibrium, social disequilibrium, economic disequilibrium, that have led some people into crime in the first place. Before getting down the people every time, why don't you also attend to this social disequilibrium to bridge these gaps? And to naturally, that is, we talk of kinetic and the non-kinetic approach. They must work hand in hand. You cannot stop delivering of good governance because you want to fight insecurity. You cannot concentrate all your energy in delivering good governance because you are prioritizing security. They have to work hand in hand. And that is what the government across all tiers ought to do. Look at what is going on in some states. You see, like in our states, you see where the governor has made created a institutional framework to tackle security and have the minds to implement such framework. He first of all created the laws, the anti-kidnapping, anti-cultism law, made it pass through the House of Assembly, and signed it into law, then went further to strengthen the security architecture in the states. Provided them with all necessary equipment, including mobility, all pattern, all manners of mobility, including some special bikes in hundreds that can enter these bushes. Then went further to deal with those harboring, because when they are operating in the bushes, they have partners in the regular lives.
Who are working hand in hand with them.
Who are working hand in hand with them. And it still created other punitive measures to tackle those people that may be implicated. And we see what is going on in Edo State today. We are not there yet, but you can see its efforts. For every local government, for every village, for every city or town where insecurity is trying to raise its ugly head, they give two approach: get the suspects and get down the sponsors. Not just getting the sponsors, demolishing their properties. And at the same time, as the governor stop working in other areas, no. As he stop bringing infrastructure across the sphere, sector by sector, no. As he stop revamping the agricultural sector to put food on the tables, no. The level of inflation in Edo State today is coming down gradually. I'm talking of food inflation. Unlike before.
Are the people feeling that beyond the numbers?
That's what I'm talking about.
I mean, you're an expert, so you're able to deal with the data.
The food inflation is coming down because if you could buy a rubber of Gary for 1,500 few months ago, and you're not buying it for 500, because Gary is a staple food that is eaten across class. So you cannot say you are not feeling it. If you are buying a 5 liter of red oil for 30-something few months ago, and right now you are buying it for 14,000 naira, this is staple food. This is not an elitist food. If you are buying a bag of rice 100 and something thousand naira months ago, and right now you are buying it between 40 and 55,000 naira, this is another staple food. You don't even need to ask, are the people feeling it? Because even me talking here, I'm buying such food, isn't it? The common man in the village is also buying such food. This is a food that cut across class. It's not burger. And at the same time, is opening up the economy by doing what is called rural infrastructural revolution. If the agricultural revolution you are doing in a state, if the products and the produces from such agricultural policy cannot be taken to the real market, then the agricultural value chain will be distorted. And what it's doing is opening up roads in these rural areas. And what of the urban, the urban center is also concentrating massive infrastructure there, which is attracting outsiders to come to Edo to come and see for themselves. These are some of how government need to drive policies to really make a society more habitable across the divide. You understand? A family with children that cannot attend public school comfortably, revamping more than 70 public schools across primary and secondary, reducing the burden of education at university level by creating scholarship and bursary for students, indigent students. These students are children of average citizens. And by extension, the children also, some of them enrolling and becoming beneficiaries of the net fund of the federal government. All this because a child that is delusional can find himself in crime. A child that is disoriented can find himself in criminal activities. But when a child is busy with skills, when he's busy with education, he knows that he or she knows that he has a future. And when the government is now there to support this dream of your education for your future by creating platforms and policies that will be beneficial to you as a student, you know you no longer cry to your dad all the time. You will now reduce the burden, and you know what the impact of that in the circular flow of income, the household economy of that family. I'm talking of microeconomics. All this translates to positivity. It may be moving slowly because the problem we are taming did not start once. It has been accumulated. Are we moving? If we take it national, me and you cannot deny the fact that we've had a lot of progress in the last few months in the fight against terrorism. Terrorism across board, from the IPOB to Boko Haram to ISWAP to banditry, we've seen a lot of results. We see air raids killing hundreds. We've seen all their conspirators be arrested, financiers, logistics suppliers. Some of them be caught in the crossfire. Some be busted. We should also be talking about this. And in doing all this, you must have what is called audacity of dream. If you don't dare to dream, you cannot be able to dare to bring such dream to reality.
I think Jimmy wanted to step in a while ago.
Now, with all of this that you've said, why is infrastructure considered the backbone of economic development?
Worldwide. First of all, it's common that we are still talking about infrastructure here in Nigeria because we are among the third world countries. But worldwide, fundamentally, economically, the backbone for economic development is sound infrastructural development. It has to be revolutionary. It's not lip service infrastructure. A country that has existed for more than 60 years, we are going to almost 70 years. In the next few years, we'll be 70 years old post-independence. Then there is not still major highways that connect regions. If you go to other climes, because when it's convenient for us, we make reference to America, Canada, UK, France, and all that. But when it's not convenient for you to make reference to that, we begin to give excuse. You have super highways that connect regions, that bridge a lot. We have massive rail infrastructure that connect regions. Because there's what is called, in this economic activity, there's what is called comparative advantage in economic activity across different regions. There are some economic activity that sound very good and prosper well in the south. There are some that does well in the north that does not do well in the south. So there is always bound to be economic exchange across trade, across commerce, and other economic activities. And most of these things cannot be taken through the regular routes. That is why we put pressures on our roads, or the regular routes, linking state to state. Now when you build inter-regional roads, massive roads that now connect, you are taking, for example, the Sokoto Lagos highway. Imagine that highway is clear, and people that are carrying their goods from Wharf or even from Cotonou, going to the north, the extreme northern part, in the northwest, for example, you know that you face your Sokoto highway. That means you have reduced the burden of trucks on the regular routes.
But with the high rates of insecurity, how do you try?
That's why I just told you that everything is working hand in hand, balancing. This road are being constructed across villages and cities and towns. Has there not been insecurity where the road are being constructed? So security is a continuous issue for any government to curtail worldwide. It's not limited. Even the most advanced world, they're still facing insecurity issues one way or the other. But where our own is different, that since 2009 to 2010, we'll be facing a different kind of insecurity that is alien to us, which is terrorism. You know, prior then, Nigeria does not really know what is suicide bombing, bombs attack. You understand? And from there, we now enter IPOB terrorist activities built around secessionism. You understand? And insurrection. You now have another peculiar one, the militancy in Niger Delta, which involve kidnapping and economic sabotage of the oil facilities. These are peculiar kind of insecurity that you are dealing with, at the same time dealing with the regular crimes in the society. You understand? Mm-hmm. So we cannot say we should all focus on that while we leave other aspects of good governance activities to collapse. We are saying that we have to get leaders that have the capacity to take them side by side. If with what His Excellency is doing in Edo State, Governor Monday Okpebholo, so well, he provided all these things to tackle the insecurity. We are not saying it's 100% abated. At the same time, he's doing so well across the divide. Then other states can also do it. And that is the same approach of the federal government. Would we have just, okay, because the state is having security challenges, it cannot do any other thing? The state is having security challenges, it cannot empower the traders, the traders that he has created 1 billion grant for? Or it cannot attend to education, that the state university has been facing issues in order to increase their monthly allocation? Is doing everything at the same time. You saw what the ICANN chairman, the outgoing ICANN president, said a few days ago to him. Edo State is rated amongst the most one of the best states in Nigeria on fiscal accountability. I've said it many times on this program. Accountability because you have a responsible governance approach to delivering on good governance. When you are fiscally responsible as a government, you cannot be accountable.
There's something I need to ask you, just so we don't miss that point. We've seen cases where governors say these roads are federal roads. It's not our business as a state government to fix them. In fact, in a state like you've been referencing, we saw under a former government, the government of Obaseki, for example, where they categorically had to put signposts on the roads to say, look, we apologize, I'm paraphrasing, that these roads have not been fixed, they are in bad shape. However, these roads belong to the federal government, therefore you have to be patient with us. That's number one. Number two is, why is it that we hear that if state governments fix any road, they ultimately get reimbursed by the federal government? Why do we have that discrepancy? One government says, it's not our road. Go hold the government, federal government are responsible. The other government, state government says, well, we are going to fix it and hope that the federal government will reimburse.
First of all, as provided in the Constitution, every one of us here have the right to stay and use every public infrastructure in anywhere in Nigeria.
Right.
You can live there, you can pursue your economic vision, you can pursue your social activity anywhere in Nigeria. You can utilize public infrastructure. What that means is there is no federal citizen, state citizen, or local government citizen. That is an umbrella analysis. But let's come back to the constitutional provision as provided in the first schedules of the federal government. We have the truck A road. These are major roads that are assigned to federal government to fix. We have the truck B road. These are roads that are responsibly the functional expectation of the state government. And now we have the truck C road, which is for the local government to fix. But a situation whereby you are a state government, this is where leadership and practical approach to governance comes in. We're talking of, for example, you made reference to Edo State. The difference between Obaseki and Okpebholo is about empathetic leadership. Now we have a leader that feels about the people first, not about what the law says. Yes, Obaseki was right to say this road belongs to truck, to federal government. Be patient with me. So the road is bad, you are not doing it until federal government comes to visit. Federal government, there are no federal citizens in that place. These are your state citizens. These are Edo people or other people from other part of Nigeria living in the states, paying taxes to you, because every personal income tax paid in Nigeria goes to the governors, does not go to the president. Every individual tax you pay in this country, directly or indirectly, whether it's through VAT, goes to the state and local government. You understand? But you are telling them that since the federal government have not fixed the road, they should bear with you. The road should remain in a deplorable situation. But now we have Governor Monday Okpebholo, who is now saying that there is a medium through which this money can be recovered if I fix this road. So I don't need to wait until federal government come to fix the road. But because the people living in these places, they are my citizens, and their governor has to provide leadership. Empathetic leadership means putting yourself in the shoes of the next person. So he is not just sitting there as a governor. Governor Monday Okpebholo is putting himself in the shoes of this. What if he was not a governor? What if he was among those people living in Sapele Road? What if he was among those people living in Odege area?
Right.
What if he was among those people living in Asaba Road? You understand? What if he was among these people living in Murtala Mohammed Road around the Rama Park, where he's building the massive revolutionary flyover right now, the longest in Nigeria ever be undertaken by a state governor? You understand? So hence he has to come and say, let's do this. So that is the difference. One is following the book as an excuse. Yes, it's right to say it's truck A road, it belongs to federal government. But the other one is saying, even if it's truck A road, the people living in this place, they are not federal citizens, they are Nigerian citizens. And by the constitution, every Nigerian citizen have right to stay and enjoy public infrastructure anywhere in Nigeria. And as far as I am the state governor, Governor Monday Okpebholo, it's my responsibility to deliver these roads to them. Why I create, because also the government over time has created a medium whereby you can be reimbursed.
Right.
And the reimbursement may not come during his term. Remember what Rotimi Amechi said, that all the federal roads he constructed in Rivers State, the reimbursement came during the term of when Wike was now the governor. So the reimbursement does not come immediately.
Right.
So the next governor after this government may be the one benefiting the reimbursement of this money. But the biggest beneficiary are the people living in Edo State using this public infrastructure. So it's a wrong analogy and speak to how leadership wickedness that has entrenched into our system over time. For a governor to say, this is a federal road, I cannot do it, you have to wait for federal government to come and fix it. Bear with me. And unfortunately, he was not doing federal, he was not doing states. He said, want to borrow the federal road. He used 8 years to embark on a Kenwa road. He could not complete it. Is the Upper Mission extension through Temboga to Ugbo, or is it the federal road? Did he provide them? Look at the other federal road that is connecting Aochi to Ibilo, your side. Is it not being handled now? That's also a federal road. So you can imagine the cluster industrial mineral outfits that are in that Akoko Edo axis of that road. More than 100 industrial mineral factories are littered around that areas, contributing massively to the macro and microeconomics of Nigeria and Edo State. And you now give them excuse. Trucks are going through that road, loading and carrying goods from factories to other parts of Nigeria. Contributes to the real GDP, but you now give them excuse with a signboard that the road you cannot fix it. But you are collecting taxes, collecting revenue from these companies. But Governor Mondo Polo is coming now and is fixing it.
I want us to go federal because you already had scaled up the conversation a while ago. The Lagos-Calabar Coastal Highway. It has come with a lot of controversy. We had seen how even the Honorable Minister of Works, Engineer David Umahi, had his own fair share of outbursts on national television about this issue in terms of cost elements and what have you. Why is that project, one, critical for Nigeria as an economy? Two, why is it coming with so much of controversy around it, even though we hear it's supposed to be a blessing? Then third, we are hearing that it didn't go through the National Assembly. In other words, it was not subjected to the standard, or if you like, statutory procurement procedure. Help us understand these three areas.
All right, first of all, the first controversy is more political. So to me, it's not necessary. When something is political, it's driven with selfishness. Why are you against a road that is economically viable across 5 to 6 states? We're talking of Lagos, Ogun, Ondo, Bayelsa, Edo, I think Akwa Ibom. You understand? Or even Calabar.
Calabar, right. 7
states. This is a road that will open up the economy in these areas, in these states. You know the intricate aspect of it. Imagine the villages and towns, because this road is not going to go through the major existing cities. That means this road is going to spur up mini cities across the states. Because it's a super highway, it's not just a major highway. You understand? And look at where the road started from. Do you know the economic value of Eko Atlantic City? That the United States government is investing about $500 million to harmonize all its diplomatic and embassy activity in one place inside the Eko Atlantic City in the next few years. Having that road close to that place, you know the kind of investment that is around there. Look at the benefits. Imagine how many villages and towns this road is going to go through that were hitherto cut off from regular infrastructure, not talk of this kind of massive infrastructure. Look at the commercial application for the people across the state in that axis of the road. Even the land, the land and what do you call it? Housing investment across all that road. So when people talk about the controversy, what is controversial about it? Because President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is the president and he's from Lagos State. You understand? Why is everybody concentrating on Lagos Coastal Highway? Why there's a Lagos Sokoto Super Highway going on? Why is nobody talking about that? If not now, that we see the massive progress. We could have time to go and be measuring how many kilometers that has been done. Since the last time of 30-something kilometers that was first commissioned, has any journalist gone there now to come and argue again? Gone there to go and argue? Have any journalist or media group or the opposition caucus gone there to tell us now the level of progress? Because it's a continuous progression. Now, bringing it to the budgetary allocation that we were talking about. These are massive infrastructure that warrant like billions of dollars to be executed. And you know the financial model for these projects. They were built around foreign facilities. Do you understand?
Right.
These were not they will be written when a facility has been approved for, like what the president wrote the other day, $500 million facility. And they are matched on specific road infrastructure. And once the National Assembly has approved it, is for them to now have the oversight to monitor its implementation. Because these are extra budgetary facilities. If you put that road on a regular budget, that road would have, for example, how much is the federal government budget for 2026? How much is the value of the Lagos Coastal Highway? How much will be captured year in, year out under the fiscal responsibility, isn't it? So if you take a longer time to deliver on that road, and it does not want to have the project to have positive of funds, so you need to create a special medium for financing this massive infrastructure.
But do we have to circumvent the law to do that?
It did not. That's why I said this approach, this facility to execute this infrastructure, we'll take it to the National Assembly for approval. I just gave an instance of the $500 million that has been approved by the National Assembly. If the National Assembly have already approved that facility, the only thing you need to do is to monitor its implementation through your ad hoc committee or the oversight committee that is responsible for such. It's as that simple. So it has not contravened any budget. The same thing happened to the second Niger Bridge. Imagine if President Muhammadu Buhari, so rest in peace, former president, had waited for the budgetary allocation for Fashola to deliver on the second Niger Bridge. We would not, that project would have been stopped to date. The same thing happened to the Abuja, Makurdi, Otukpo, Enugu road. I was in that was the best road I've gone through in recent time. Now they are taking it across North Bank. They are past Buruku, they are going to Otukpo, now connected to Enugu. The same thing for the Ewato, connecting from Nasarawa to Otukpo directly through Ewato Bridge. The same thing happened to Lagos Ibadan Highway, even started from Goodluck Jonathan when he first awarded the road for $1 billion. These are special projects that need special financing and special funding. So you cannot just tie them to regular, except you want to stay a country that already have more than $20 billion abandoned projects across Nigeria in value. I'm talking of road infrastructure alone, not even in other sectors. You cannot be heaping up those things. So you need to create different models. What was the reason of creating? Look at the Benin Asaba Road construction. It's a consortium, being financed by a consortium too. And that way you can design an approach of recouping the money, maybe towing the roads, creating toll gates and all that to make revenue. The same way we deliver on the rails, the Itapewori rail, Lagos Ibadan rail, Kaduna, Abuja, Kaduna, the metro rail and all that. Are they not working today? They become sustainable infrastructural development for the country. So as a government, when you have leadership with foresight, they see that to think of the design, they envisage some massive infrastructure that will outlive their government. The potential economic activity is what they are looking at, and they will now design an approach of executing such and financing such infrastructure within the framework of the law. Because once the National Assembly has passed it, that means it's legal. He did not just wake up to say, I want to go borrow XYZ to finance so particular project that I cannot put in the budget without the knowledge of the National Assembly. He did not do that. The president went through the due process. So I don't see anything that is wrong with that.
All right, let's look at public and private sector now. How can public and private partnership help scale infrastructure projects?
That is what is indirectly what I'm already saying. Some of these projects, like we have the PPP arrangement, like the Benin Asaba super highway that is under construction. It's a PPP arrangement with some consultants from African Development, Afri Investment, and other outfits. You understand? PPP is good, but the question we should be talking about is how well the government aspects, who are supposed to be the regulators, how sincere are they? Most times they don't meet their part of the bargain, and they render the PPP useless and create a crisis in the arrangement, and you see the private partners walking away. You understand? But if a PPP is arranged in a way that is not criminally designed and it's not a loss to the state and the people, then it's the best way worldwide. Some infrastructure, for example, we're talking of recently the FCT minister was talking about the Jabi Lake. Look at the sentiment people were building around it. When was the last time you went to Jabi Lake Park? Even the lake itself, that has not been managed well, that has not been run well. People have seen as a public infrastructure. In Nigeria, people see public infrastructure as anything goes for me. A typical Nigerian does not know that we lack maintenance culture. And to sustain some of these things until you make a PPP arrangement where you commercialize it with private participation. The other park in near stadium, until it was privatized, the Magic Land. You see how boom and how sophisticated that place is now, unlike before. Even in abroad, almost all the parks in London have PPP arrangement to revive tourism. The same thing happened in other infrastructure. So PPP arrangements cannot be underscored to support development. But in our climb, we should straighten it not to shortchange the people. Because of our corruption tendency, most times we make the arrangement and give more room for abuse to the private people. Yes.
So public interest must be protected.
Public interest must be protected. There's no PPP arrangement. We privatize the telecommunication industry. Today we cannot really regulate them. And today the consumers are suffering all kinds.
And the NCC is helpless.
And it's not just NCC. The Consumer Protection Council of Nigeria, what are they doing? Who is protecting us as consumers? That is just telecommunication. If you go to other sectors, industrial players who have had licenses from government to operate independently, nobody checks their activities.
Including power distribution.
Exactly. That area is, I think it's more spiritual problem now. Yeah, because if you take possibly a government to go spiritual to solve a spiritual problem.
I want to ask you something, but now we're talking about PPP. In between, most times we also hear things like concession. Yes. I remember under the former governor of Delta State, Senator Ifeanyi Okowa, we understand the airport in Asaba, the state capital, was concessioned to a private entity, perhaps a conglomerate or something. But here's the real concern. At that point, we're told that when it's all said and done, considering all the clauses in the agreement, this entity would remit 100 million naira to the state on an annual basis. And some people say, look, this is, as it were, being penny wise, pound foolish. Now, the reason I cited that instance is to ask about transparency in the area, I mean, when it comes to entering into a PPP arrangement. Because for the most part, Nigerian government, whether national or sub-national, appears to intentionally or unwittingly just sell off public, as it were, public interests to private all those sort of profit-oriented individuals.
When you put money first and you reduce value, when there's a difference between profit orientation or profit creation and value creation.
Right.
A situation whereby we are talking of our gains. What are you going to gain from this? What is this going to? Nobody's talking about what value are you going to create for the people. What value are you going to create for the entity itself? Because it is where an entity becomes worthy that it becomes viable.
Right.
You are going into a PPP arrangement or a concession with the sole target of how much the concession company or concessionary company is going to be remitted to the governor or to the government of the state. So in that regard, you are not considering how much are they going to bring to, first of all, drive expansion, infrastructural development of the airport. You still go to the Asaba airport today, it's still a shadow of itself.
3 years after the former governor left office.
Exactly. I've been there. I've used the airport. Imagine the same thing to Benin Airport. You still go to Benin Airport. Imagine You see it's as local. You get it. So all they are interested in, are you able to remit? Not what have been the value on the airports.
Upgrade of facility. Experience for travelers.
Exactly. Even the cordial relationship, the dealings and everything, they has been improved. You go to the same airport, you are paying some of these things. The machine that pull your trolley are not working. You don't have the different facilities that works within the airport. And yet, you see some of these things are because a concession. And these companies are just there to collect. We have the cargo, whatever agency. They've also gone into agreement with some companies. So it's all about the money they are going to make. And this money, most of the time, does not even go to the real, because you trace, if in a country where we have privatized 400 companies and there is no single account where the money was paid to. A country where we privatize the distribution aspect of electricity, and till tomorrow there is no single account that can be traced that from privatization of electricity in 2013, this is what was recovered, or this is the money that was gotten from it. So they see that, some of these people see that to create a criminality for their own selfish interests inside this PPP and this concession, and that is why we feel that it's not working. But if you see some of the, like when I went through the Makurdi road, you see the toll gate, people pay on system and everything, no more security, no crowd, you just do your thing, and you know that this same company that are providing this massive, I think they are Chinese outfit, they have designed their own way of recouping their money. Until they recoup their money, they will not be talking of what goes to the government. But so you just say, give me 30%, you take 70%, give me 50 or 50-50. All you will be interested in is, let me meet the target for the government. However, where I do my thing does not concern the government. And the government on its own is what they can get from you. And when the money comes, nobody accounts for it. It's unfortunate, but that's the reality.
But you know, with all of these things that you have mentioned, of course, infrastructure is good. But for someone who is listening right now, and he will wonder and say to himself, Haruna Brahimo, what sector or sectors of the economy has benefited from improved infrastructure?
Road transportation sector is benefiting right now, because across the states, there's practically no state without 3 roads under construction. If I'm talking of federal roads. From my research, the transportation sector will benefit, and by extension, the commerce, by extension, the agric. Because till now, 90% of the mode of transporting our agricultural produce is through road infrastructure. When this road infrastructure becomes more better, or when they are completed, or when they are 80% well, then every other thing, the transportation of goods will be easy. You can reduce the accidents as a result of bad roads that you experience. At times you go through this federal highway, you see some trucks that are falling with goods destroyed. These are losses to families or to the entrepreneurs, the owners of this, the traders or the business people doing this. You see some container falling off. These are losses to businesses. So when the roads are good, the owners of these businesses indirectly they will benefit. Safe delivery. And when the roads are good, the cost of transportation will reduce. If you are paying 1,000 naira from point A to point B, and the driver tells you it's as a result of bad road, imagine when the road is good. And it also talk about time. Time is built into productivity. It's very important. Man hour. The time you spend on the road traveling. For example, a road is supposed to spend 4 hours, you are spending 7-8 hours. When the road is good, you are now returning to 4 hours. You have 4 hours extra to be productive, to put into other productive ends. These are direct impacts. I'm not talking of road infrastructure. What the president went to sign in London the other day, the maritime infrastructure that is going to reduce a lot of cabotage issues. We've not had that for years. So now your clearing, your container, the handling charges that you are paying as a result of poor infrastructure, all those will be more eliminated. It will be easy for you to move your things. One of education, school infrastructure, educational infrastructures. If the schools are not revamped, if they are not maintained, if they are not built, if there is no reconstruction, then people will not, there's, like in Edo State, there is not a surge in the entrance level into public schools. People that have either take it like Ibareke, there's a school called Ibareke's junior, senior, and senior secondary schools. It almost became a refuse dump. Not just almost, it was a refuse dump and a den for criminals and a drug slot and toilets for hoodlums around that area. So people were taking their, like one of the principals said, they could not even have up to 20 people to enroll for WAEC. So they have to take their students to go and join other school because there's a particular level of enrolling you need to attain for WAEC to take your school serious as a center for examination. Because wards and parents were taking their children out of the school. But with the mother's touch of Governor Monday Okpebholo, there's a surge. People are bringing their children back, and some are even leaving private schools now to come and have not just free education to GSS level. You have a good environment of learning, providing perimeter fencing, building security, giving them water, you know. So the infrastructure directly or indirectly benefit the people. They may not even know that this is the benefits.
Until they start experiencing the benefits.
This thing I'm talking about school now, maybe the same parents of this student or these children going to this school will sit down somewhere tomorrow, be complaining of harsh economy. But they forget to realize that few months ago they were paying higher school fees for their children in private school, but now they're having free education and good environment that is better than that private school that has been provided by the government of Edo State.
I don't think I'm being obsessed with roads, Aruna. But I've heard governors, even in my home state, say that, look, we are not going to pay attention to this road, at least not yet, because we have not seen the economic viability of such a road. Incidentally and ironically, this is a road that's ordinarily, if improved or if you like fixed, will connect to big or huge communities and of course fast track economic activity and all of that. I'm curious, by what metrics do such governors reach such a conclusion as determining that this road, no matter the number of people who reside there, is not economically viable?
First of all, before you undertake any project, you do what is called feasibility study, right? And you do viability study. How viable is this project? And you do the impact analysis, you know, even from the environmental point of view, right? And you also do the cost and benefit analysis of those projects. You know, what is going to be the benefit of this project? What is going to be the cost? If you weigh the cost and the benefit, and you decide, and you realize that the cost of doing the road outweigh the benefit, you may begin to take some decision. You understand? That is one aspect, which also is invariably relating or cooperatively relating to the numbers of projects you have at hand. And maybe you are constrained with funding. You understand? We say government is continuing, government cannot fix every infrastructural deficit. So you now begin to prioritize. Let's do this first, let's do this. But on a general, like what His Excellency Governor Monday Okpebholo will emphasize, that if you don't open up the rural communities, you will not be able to really benefit from the rural economy. You understand? Right. So you don't need to look at the short-term benefits. On the short term, you may think that, okay, opening the roads to these communities is not going to bring huge economic impact now. Let me do this. But if you think about long-run effects, you will see that such activity, such an opening up will stratify future economy of that people. You don't know what kind of resources that is going to be discovered in that area. You understand? That road may have created access to. Other beyond roads, you are talking of, is also providing accessible infrastructure in the health sector. Right. Like just last week, he has delivered on about 69 PAC, primary health care, across 69 communities in Edo State. And this week he just added another, he just approved the revamping and reconstruction of another 9 added to it. These are all opening up rural. These are all infrastructure. So from health infrastructure, education infrastructure, road infrastructure is tackling everything, and security infrastructure. So it's a holistic approach because we are in an economy, we are in an environment that is underdeveloped or developing. In a developing economy, you don't prioritize projects. You don't do everything at the same time to stratify real economic growth for the people.
I also want us to now look at whether or not there is a synergy between state governments or sub-national governments and the federal government in terms of infrastructural development, because we see politics most times getting in the way. There was a time, again, in my home state where a former senator had moved to say, look, I want to roll out certain initiatives, programs and projects, including, for example, solar powered street lights within certain areas of my district, my senatorial district. And the governor, and indeed the government at that time, we were made to understand, kicked against it. How do we downplay politics in a bid to, as it were, establish a partnership between the federal government, in this case could be senators, for example, and the state government, in ensuring we continually drive very strategically infrastructure development? All right.
That is unfortunate. Such reared its ugly head in Edo State during the time of the former Nebuchadnezzar, who was in charge. Former governor.
Edo State never had a governor by that name.
Yeah, quote and unquote, I call him Nebuchadnezzar. Okay. Former governor of Aseki, Yeah, because his approach was skewed always, was malicious. Most of this, some of his approach to governance were politically justified in effect. And he forget to realize that beyond politics comes leadership to lead the people. When you are stopping projects that are supposed to be beneficial to the people, this project does not bear APC or PDP. That you are in a different party with the federal government does not stop a project that will be beneficial to the people. You shouldn't. But unfortunately, those things happen, and now we now have a governor whose actions and inactions is practically reversing such trends. You understand? And it also happened the time of Bender State, also in our state. That was the first time that the federal government, a state government, had to take the federal government to court. The government of late Shehu Shagari and late Professor Ambrose Folonsho Ali. Right. They have to go to court to sort it out when they said that there is already a University of Benin in Edo State or in Bender State. As far as there is a university in Bender State, the governor does not need to. They want to stop the governor for providing a university education. Right. Another university that is state-owned, and we needed to. It got to a point that they needed to test the constitution, interpretation of the constitution, which now make every other state realize it was Edo State that fought for it, just like Oshomole fought for the removal of the stepping down of the proposed initiative rule in the Senate. We are always agitating in that state. So Folonsho defeated the federal government, and then Abusale University, then called Bender State University, was established. And then that was the beginning of state government building university, because it needed to test the constitution, and it was interpreted that education as infrastructure belong to the concurrent lists and the second schedule of the responsibility of the federal government, which means state and local. There are infrastructure where state and local government need to synergize. There are sectors from agri to health to education. State and federal government need to synergize in the provision of this infrastructure across the sectors for the people. So, as leaders, it must first of all be about the people, not about your political selfish interest.
Infrastructure is all about taking a cue from other countries. Now, what lessons can Nigeria learn from developed nations when it comes to infrastructure planning?
Yeah, some of the lessons is what is going on at the federal level now that some of us are still criticizing, like the super highways that are interregional highway, interregional rail lines, the massive maritime infrastructure expansion. These are some of these things that the President Tinubu-led administration is taking as cue to implement in Nigeria, not for its own gain, for the future of this country to benefit, which even will drive economic, social, and commerce integration, making the people more unifying. You understand? But people are for opposition convenience. We are still trying to play politics with it. So another one, if we take another cue, should be in areas of the aviation industry. We have to learn the Gatwick Airport, the Heathrow Airport. These are all on PPP arrangement. They are privately driven. In fact, a lot in Nigeria is driving the leadership for Heathrow and Gatwick, a Yoruba man. You understand?
That's Mr. Ogulesi.
Ogulesi, yes, Mr. Ogulesi. Why can't it happen in Nigeria? So that this airport that we are complaining about across states can be taken care of. This infrastructure has gone beyond solely government provision. We're now talking about super infrastructure that needs serious investment from multifaceted corporate organizations. Even electricities. Look at what the Tinubu administration is doing. After the statutory deregulation from the former president, may so rest in peace, President Muhammadu Buhari, Tinubu came in to take the decentralization further. As we are now, any of us can cluster some houses in our area, create a solar farm, invest in a solar farm, provide electricity, write agreement with these cluster houses, and provide a consumer-based, consumable household electricity for those people, and they'll be paying me or you. That is how much deregulation that has been brought to bear. So it's now less for governors to take advantage, to invite investors into this, which is already also happening in Edo State. That's why I make reference to Edo State, because almost everything is happening in Edo State at the same time. Because the governor we have is giving holistic approach to governance across strata. And he's doing all this, he's not relaxing, and he's looking at his books. Hope I'm doing well, hope I'm spending this money.
But should you also be concerned about whether or not the governor is taking loans to do all of this?
He's not taking loans. He
has never taken a loan upon accepting the bonus.
Even the proposed 100 billion, remember on this program with the First Bank, he never took it.
The one that comes with the guarantee.
Exactly. Never utilized it. I argue, Governor Mondo Pewolo is arguably the only governor, I stand to be corrected, in Nigeria today that has not taken loan from either from the bank or from the capital market or foreign loan. Rather, he's paying the loan he met. He inherited a contractual liability on contract of more than 200 and something billion. A total burden, balance sheet burden of 670 billion. He's paying for it. He has paid for a debt of $47 million so far. That the foreign debt that he did not incur, he did not benefit from. And he has paid domestic debt to the tune of something billion naira. Domestic debt, which includes owings to contractors and all that, and is drastically reducing the pension liabilities.
But did he still not get value for all of these borrowings?
What are the values? And it's even revamping, because some of this program, for example,
when we say he's paying, it looks like he's doing the state a favor. Like services not rendered. For example, where projects not executed on behalf of the state.
Executed to optimum? No. Executed at what level? For example, let me give you instance. The 75 million celebrated Edo-based fund from World Bank. $75 million. After the asset verification committee investigation and everything, what was released was now up to $10 million to the program.
But was the entire sum of the $5 million secured?
At least it is almost 70. Yeah, was assessed.
So effectively it was less than $75 million. So I just
exactly. That was assessed.
Right.
And inside that $60-something million, that $69 or $70 million, less than $10 million was released, was seen on record to have been released for the program, for the Edo-based program, over the period that the Edo-based existed. And what did he bequeath? He bequeathed 5,000 contract staff, recruited teachers that were being paid 39,000 naira. They were not staff of Edo State government. You cannot borrow money to drive an investment and now bequeath more liabilities. It doesn't add up. What of the over 25 billion borrowed from bond borrow for the capital market to drive Radisson Blue Hotel, and committing another more than 10 billion naira Edo State fund to make it at something billion, and he now sold it for 10 billion. The liability of 25 billion for capital market is heaping on Edo State. And how did you sell it to if somebody when is trying? What is the value? The 5,000 workers, the Governor Mondo Bello had to recruit them legally into the system. They are not earning minimum wages and co. No teacher in Edo State earn less than 100,000 naira right now. They are no longer contract staff. We're not talking about the social benefit they are going to be benefiting as statutory staff of the government. Or full emolument will be beneficial to them, including pension, including gratuity, including health. Think about all that. The government is practically righting wrongs without complaining. So when he's paying this debt that he did not incur, the impact of the debt is still trying to recover, trying to repay it.
I want us to talk about the issue of PPP, particularly as it has to do with public infrastructure. When it comes to roads, major roads in particular, there's a debate about how will the partners, the private sector guys, get their monies back. We say, well, they have to toll the road. It appears we are limited to only that option, toll the road and all of that. But again, when it has to do with PPP, there's always the economic element in it, the business factor in it. You can't take it away. Ironically, we hear that government has no business in business. How do we set that straight?
No, that analogy or that saying is a fallacy of verification and error of misplaced contractness.
What does that mean in everyday English?
Yeah, that's saying that government does not have business in business. It's fallacious in nature, and it's an error that has affected, that is contract and is misplaced in inference to the topic of discussion. To say that government does not have, government have every business.
Yeah, I'm sure you have heard that over time.
Yeah, that is why I said it's a fallacy of reification. It's a wrong inference. Because government have every business in any business anywhere. The essence of government is to be business oriented.
Is to do business.
Of course. They do business with me and you. Because we voted them to go and do business to regulate our affairs is business on its own. We say business of governance. They say the governor has settled that to business of governance. Governance itself is business. We were just assessing the past governor in Edo State now. How did he do his business? Was it profit or loss? We just did that before this question. So that saying was a saying created by kleptocrats. So kleptomania that entered the Fourth Republic in 1999. That was that was the phrase they created that eroded the creation of National Council of Privatization. These kleptocrats are still in the system today, justly to become the president of Nigeria. That's a topic for another day. Because they were telling us there's no business, government, we need to privatize, we need to sell off all these public assets. Where these public assets, when we were born, we were talking about pipe-borne water. We have water reservoirs across different local governments in Edo State or anywhere in Nigeria. You could go to somewhere, you may say that the proximity of the water was not so close, but you could go and say, na government tap. That is pipe-borne water, not borehole water. Can you, this generation, have they seen, is it not Wike now that is providing, that is revamping pipe-borne water in FCT now? These young lads that were born from 1999 to date, do you think they know what is pipe-borne water? Because we privatized everything. We sold off our national assets that were working. We have the Jos Steel Rolling Company. We have the Alaja Steel Rolling Company. We have the Osogbo Steel Rolling Company. The Ajakuta, the Tapes of this world, where the iron ore was being mined. Where people now employ and engage there. We practically ruined this outfit to grant and now created that phrase that government does not have business in doing business. In 1980 something, between 1970 and early 80s, Nigerian Airways had how many fleets in its kitty flying, while Emirates Airline was nowhere to be found. Today, Nigeria Airways is non-existent. Emirates is taking over. We practically have to be going through Ethiopia to help them. We fly to Ethiopia to pick passengers to connect to, so that we want them to fill the excess of international flights coming from an African aviation hub like Nigeria in those days. Today, we are begging Ethiopia Airlines to go into arrangement with us to drive Air Nigeria.
It's a shame, isn't it?
Because that is the irony. The makers of beautiful motors pounded their yarn with broken pestles.
Jemai is stunned by that, your accent.
But you know what? In all of this that you have mentioned,
so there is business or government in business. If it's a regulatory business, do the regulation well. Obasa just said last week, self-identity, but at least out of his age, he's telling us the truth. That he was approached as president to sell off the 4 refineries for $200 million.
Yes, by Dangote.
Exactly. Not by Dangote, by NNPC.
By NNPC, yes.
He refused. And he now called Dangote.
He also had a $700 million.
No, he said he now called Dangote. How can I sell the 4 refineries for $200 million? Dangote now said he will buy 50% for $750 million. Before he left office, they were on negotiation, thinking that Dangote will take them over 50%. That means government will still own 50%.
Yes.
If you are buying 50% for $750 million, and the other people that were supposed to be in government were already approaching the president to sell off 100% of the foreign for just $200 million.
So you think there was a foul play?
You know, and immediately he left power, Yar'Adua came. They changed. They went to come and deceive Yar'Adua.
And the former president, God rest his soul, said
exactly.
He was under pressure.
Exactly. He said he was under pressure. He was misled. And it fell to that $200 million can fix it, can do this. And since then, we started fixing it in the name of fixing. Turnaround maintenance, enter the system. And we have turned around till date now. We have spent close to 16
billion. We have 1 minute to go, and Jumai has a question.
Quickly now, what does poor infrastructure have when it comes to investors and, of course, businesses?
It scares away investors. It reduces probity in the system across board. Poor infrastructure does not attract development. Poor infrastructure does not attract economic growth. Poor infrastructure reduces the value of even the micro and macroeconomics. There is no plan. You do not give room for proper planning. How can you be planning for foreign investors to come when you don't have poor infrastructure? That is why the biggest bane to our national development is electricity. Because electricity is a fundamental catalyst that drives development across the strata. So until we begin to fix this electricity long head, we will not. So poor infrastructure is everything negative to the prosperity of a nation.
Interesting. I think it's amazing that we have taken our time to really talk extensively on infrastructure this morning.
Yes, we have.
And how it connects to economic development in real terms. So we'd like to appreciate you for this wealth of insights that you've shared with us on the program, Abula Brimo.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, this is what we're leaving it today on Global Morning, everyone. We always appreciate your time with us here on the program. Remember that the views of all of our guests across all of our programs are their opinions. I'm Uyi Agmufwebe, wishing you a big weekend ahead.
And I am Jumai Manson. Thank you once again, Haruna Brimo, for being a part of the program.
Thank you so much.
Have an amazing day ahead. And from Uyi and I, we say bye-bye.